Welcome to my video about our visit to the Integratron. We live in the South Bay of Los Angeles, and it took us about 2 hours and 40 minutes to get there. As we got close, Joshua trees started dotting the landscape. Joshua Tree National Park is about 20 minutes away from the Integratron. Folklore says that these unique trees were named by Mormon settlers because the tree's shape reminded them of the biblical story about Joshua raising his hands up to the sky in prayer. And here it is, the Integratron, built by Geroge Van Tassel, who claimed that an alien being gave him a tour of his spaceship and then gave him the formula for the structure. Mr. Van Tassel explains his encounter with the alien being during this 1964 television interview.
Jack, this was the result of a formula which was given to me by a man who landed a ship at my airport in 1953. This isn't a little box. This is a four-story machine focusing fields that we can orient to produce this zone big enough for a man to get into. It isn't a box.
But what happens to the man when he gets into the zone? I'm all agog with curiosity.
Jack, we've discovered this zone is subject to thought. Now, since time doesn't record events the way we do on calendars and clocks, you could only record an event by thinking of it. Now, theoretically, we believe we can take a videotape magnetic camera into the time zone and photograph Lincoln's Gettysburg Address or Caesar's armies marching or anything that's ever happened. After we got off the ship, the man who invited me aboard, who didn't look a day over 28 years of age, told me that he was over 700 years of age in our time.
Oh, come off it, George.
That's right.
Was this the guy who gave you the formula for the time machine?
That's the man.
And what form did the formula take? Did he implant it in your mind by telepathy, or did he give you something written in English?
He spoke it to me verbally.
And you remembered this?
There's nothing to it to remember.
Will you tell me now? The formula for a time machine.
F equals 1 over T.
F equals 1 over T.
F being frequency and T being time.
Let's talk about this picture. This is the time machine.
This is a picture of the machine we're building down there. This structure is actually up. We're working now on the parts on the equipment that operate it. This rim around here has armatures 57 feet in diameter, which would be better than 4 times bigger than the biggest armatures ever made before.
Van Tassel died suddenly from a heart attack in 1978, and the Integratron was never completed. The structure fell into disrepair before sisters Joanne, Nancy, and Patty Carl bought it in the early 2000s. The sisters promote the Integratron as an acoustically perfect structure and offer very popular sound baths, which is why we're here today. The grounds are very well kept, and there's a gift shop offering crystals, t-shirts, and other souvenirs. Several weeks ago, our friends asked us if we would be interested in going to a sound bath with them at the Integratron. My wife Lori and I have lived in Southern California for a very long time, but we had never heard of it. It turned out that our time at the Integratron was a pleasant surprise. There's a really nice waiting area with some art, cooling misters, and our favorite, hammocks. When you enter the Integratron, you're asked to remove your shoes, and you're given instructions on how to walk up the stairs to the second floor. There's no metal inside the Integratron. The structure is held together with wooden dowels. Filming isn't allowed during the sound bath. It's required that phones and all other electronics be completely turned off. This footage was taken after the sound bath. Lori will explain the structure's unique acoustics.
So when you're inside the structure, if you're on one side of the structure and you whisper, the people next to you can barely hear you. But because it's a whisper chamber, the people across the structure hear you loud and clear as if you're speaking loudly. It's a phenomenon. And then in the very center of the structure, there's that square, and that is where the electromagnetic energy is the strongest.
And how did you go into this ship?
I walked with him to a spot underneath it, and an anti-gravity beam took me up through a hole in the bottom of it.
You're telling me at 2 o'clock in the morning in Giant Rock Airport, you walked underneath this hovering ship, and whammo, you went up
You
inside.
didn't go whammo, you went just about as slow as a local elevator.
Well, we tried to beam up, but it didn't work for us. But we really enjoyed our sound bath at the Integratron. Thanks for watching. Please click the like button and consider subscribing. Live long and prosper. Lori and Steve.